Good evening and welcome to our webinar on LiveBinders for Active Learning. I'm Dr. Karen Alexander, Director of the Curriculum Center for Family and Consumer Sciences and Chair for the Family and Consumer Sciences Education Program at Texas Tech University. We are glad to have you join us for this fifth webinar in our series designed to support teachers transitioning to online learning. At this time, I'm going to turn our session over to our speaker, Jency Huey.
Thank y'all for letting me host this evening about LiveBinders. Let's go ahead and jump into our webinar tonight. So, my name, like Dr. Alexander said, my name is Jency Huey. I'm an instructor here at Texas Tech, and I've actually taught in public education for 13 years, and then one of those as a CTE specialist. I have utilized LiveBinders both in the classroom and then as an administrator. So this is something that has multi-purposes, and we're going to look at those different purposes today for LiveBinders. So we would like to thank our webinar sponsors, of course, the Curriculum Center for Family and Consumer Sciences, and then the Texas Tech University Family and Consumer Sciences Education Department. So our agenda for tonight is as follows. So number one, getting started, and I think we all did a good job jumping in and getting logged in okay. And like Dr. Alexander said, if you have any questions, please feel free to use that chat feature, and then they can kind of stop and ask the question for you. It's just a little simpler that way. We're also going to look at what exactly is a LiveBinder. If you've never heard of that term before, we are going to cover that tonight. We're also going to look at different ways to use a LiveBinder. I'm going to teach you how to create an account, so you can have your very own account to start working on after this. I'm going to show you also how to search for different LiveBinders. There are some incredible resources available within some of these LiveBinders. I am then going to show you how to create your own LiveBinder. And I do want you to keep in mind that I am showing you the basic features of LiveBinder. Like Dr. Alexander said, this is a very user-friendly platform. So this is not something that you have to be really tech savvy to use. It's very convenient, and you can jump in and start working right away. So I'm going to show you those basic features and how to navigate. And then, of course, at the end, if y'all have any other questions, please let me know. Okay, so let's go ahead and answer our first question. That question would be, what exactly is a LiveBinder? Okay, so you remember our binders, and I still use these. I'm sure we all still use our paper binders, but a LiveBinder is actually taking this paper binder to the next level. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're virtually teaching. I'm teaching my classes online. So we have to come up with different ways to hold our resources. And this is a great way to do that. It's very convenient to be able to send to students, to show students all of those resources you have for them. So a LiveBinder can include really anything. It can include documents. You can scan documents in. It can include websites, media, videos. And they're all separated by tabs, just like you would in a paper binder. And the really great thing about this is that it actually populates a table of contents for you. I remember the longest part of creating a organizational binder was always going back and doing the table of contents. So that is something that I really like, that it populates that table of contents for you and you can easily see what's in your binder. So, different ways to use a LiveBinder. This LiveBinder is very unique because it can be used a variety of different ways. So it's not just a presentation platform. It's not just a portfolio platform. It can be all of those. So you can put e-portfolios on there. You can have presentations or class lessons on a LiveBinder. You could have web quests for your students to go to your LiveBinder and complete. Students can also create their own LiveBinders, or you could create documents within that LiveBinder for them to have that collaboration method that we're all wanting. And that's something that you can also do virtually. So you can still have your students collaborate even though they are not in the same room. So there are many, many other ways to use a LiveBinder, probably more than I have thought of. So we're gonna look and search some LiveBinders tonight, and so I can show you some of those. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to our LiveBinder website, and you are more than welcome to go on your computer if you'd like, or you could follow along with me. It's www.livebinders.com. You have to have the S on there or it will not take you to the correct spot. So when you go to LiveBinders, it will take you to a screen that looks just like this. Okay, so this is, it has a really short video that you could watch. It's really just an overview, like I just told you what LiveBinders is. Something that I really think is great is that they keep track of the total amount of binders that they have on this platform. They look at how many times people are viewing these binders. So it really lets you know that it's a positive resource and is being utilized. And then I really like this one. The trees, the number of trees that they've saved, if they've added up all the paper that we've put online, is also totaled right there. So that's something that I think is interesting, and maybe your students would as well. So when you come to this landing page, you actually can scroll down. And if you look, this is the icon that's going to be on every binder that you create or that is searched for. So it looks like a binder. Now the front of the binder is something that you can change. I want to show you these featured binders first. So every time you go to the home page, they have binders that are relevant to what's going on in the world right now. And the first one that I want to show you, and this is the first time you'll get to see what a binder looks like, is I found this one, Video Conferencing Etiquette. And this is something that all of us were not prepared for. We haven't done Zoom meetings up until now. Maybe you have, you're more of an expert than I am, but this was really neat to look at because there's so many people in the world today that need this information. So LiveBinders puts together that information for you. This one is actually, you can tell the author right here is someone who does work for LiveBinders. I'll show you more about authors later. But a LiveBinder looks basically just like this. Over on the side, these would be the tabs that you would have in a binder, okay? This is the overview. This is what I was talking about, that table of contents that it populates for you. It's really awesome, and it helps lay everything out, and you can even click the link from right here. So yes, there is video chat etiquette, and this is probably something that I needed to share to my I guess my 11-year-old would be the one that's doing the most video chatting right now with her online school. But you know, there is etiquette, and I thought this was really neat that they put this together. Make your background look nice, you know, don't go straight to video. So that's something you can go back and look at if you're interested. There are other ways that you can actually view each binder. So say you click on a binder and you don't really like the format, you can come over here to layout. All I did was click options, come to layout, and I can change it to however I want the tabs to look. So I could go to stacked tabs, and this is actually the way I like to see it. I like to have my tabs up here at the top. And in each tab that you click on, there will be information, a video, articles, and I will show you how to set all of this up here in a little bit, okay? Now, the next thing I want to show you is actually how to create your own account. Okay, so we're gonna go back to, I'm gonna go to my name really quickly. I'm gonna go to LiveBinders, and I'm gonna go back home. Okay, so this is that screen we were at a while ago. What will happen is there'll be a button right here that says sign up for an account. And guys, this is really the easiest thing. You click on sign up, and all you do is type in your name and email, and then you give a username and a password, and that's going to log you onto LiveBinders. And I believe it sends you an email to authenticate your email address. Okay, so I am already logged in, and over here I have lots of different things that I can look at. So I have binders, shelves, uploaded files, profile, deleted binders. Okay, don't worry about all of that right now. What I want to look at is my shelves, because if we're going to be searching for some binders, we need to actually create some shelves. Okay, so think about it like this. You're in your office or your classroom, and you have a bookshelf, and on that bookshelf you have all of your lessons and your binders set up neatly. This is the exact same concept. Okay, so here I have 2 shelves right now, but I want to show you how to create another shelf. So I'm just going to go back to my home page. Actually, that went to my account, so sorry. Let me go to my, and all you have to do, there's a lot easy little clicks right here. Okay, and we'll explain those later. Right now, I'm going to create a new shelf. Okay, this shelf is going to be called Education, and I might write a description. This shelf includes all of my educational resources that I find online. And down here, you can either choose to make it public or private. I usually keep my shelves private because it gives you the option to share it with someone else if you'd like to. So say I put together a whole shelf of some great educational resources and I want to share that with my coworker, I can share that to just them, and then it's still private for me. If I want to add an access key, you can do that as well. So I'm going to create a new shelf, and shelf created, education, and then down here on the left-hand side, here's my shelves. So as you can tell, I already had those 2, and here's my one that I just created in education, and I actually don't have any binders on that shelf yet. Okay, so what I want to do now that you have a shelf, I want to show you how.
Nancy, can I ask you a real quick question? We had a really good question from the chat board that I want to stop you and ask you. Krista is asking, does your email show up anywhere? Because she's thinking of using her personal email rather than her school email to set up an account.
No, I do not believe the personal email shows up anywhere. You can actually type in a name that you want, a username, and then that will be your owner name.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so once you do that, let's look. I'm going to click up here at the search button. Okay, this is the first thing it's going to do, and the easiest for me is just to search all public binders. One of the first things I want to search is, I'm a family consumer sciences teacher, so I want to search some of those resources, if I can spell it right. Okay, so there's other searches you can do. If you come up here, you can click, if you know someone, like say I want to look up all of Dr. Alexander's LiveBinders, I could click here on author and I could enter in her name. It would look up all of hers. Or if you have a specific binder you're looking for, you can do that down here. Right now, I don't have anything specific, so I'm just going to go ahead and search, and it's going to take me to a page that looks like this. And this has all of the search results for Family and Consumer Sciences education. And if you notice down here on this gray bar, it tells you views. And the views are the thing you really want to look at. The more views it has, you could look at it as, well, you know, what I'm trying to look at, everyone has seen this one, so they keep coming back to it, so it must be a good resource. Even though if there's not a lot of views, it doesn't mean it's a bad resource. But the first one I want to look at is the first one that comes up, okay? This is a sample binder, and I believe it's Miss Flake is her name, and she's chosen not to keep her binder private. Now, her binder is not the most aesthetically pleasing binder, okay? But I want to show you this because it could be used like a filing cabinet. And that's kind of what Miss Flake has decided to use. She has all of her daily lesson plans uploaded and added. So if I click on one of these daily lesson plans, this was from 2016, I would click right here and it would download the file that she has posted. And then whatever that day was, and I believe hers is some lesson plans that she's put together. So she has her standard and course learning topic. She has today's lesson. So really, she has done a lot of work and compiled it all in one spot. To me, this looks like it's her whole year of classes, all the way from August to May. So those are her daily lessons. And that's why I believe this resource has a lot of clicks, because I think many family consumer sciences teachers can come on here and find some supplemental materials maybe. But she also has videos, how to use presentation, maybe one on grease fires if you teach culinary arts. Her class materials, you go down here and whatever she was talking about in the daily lessons, she has all of those handouts right here. So I wanted to show you this binder because there are some great resources you could find. So if you're kind of like, I want to teach something on nutrition and I'm not finding what I want, you could always come and search LiveBinders and find lots of different things that you could do. Okay, and she has decided to keep hers public. I believe if I were to create a binder like this, I probably wouldn't leave it public. I would keep it private because it would really be for me. But I think she is just, you know, sharing all of her materials with everyone. So this is a good example. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
If you want to show the Word document, it's you'll have to switch the share, but I don't think it's probably relevant that they see it, right?
Okay. Thank you for reminding me about that, though. You are correct. I didn't share that one while ago, but really it's just a note-taking sheet. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and go back to our search. And Dr. Cindy Miller works in our department, and I have the privilege of being her colleague, and she is a LiveBinder guru. She is amazing at LiveBinders, and I have referenced her binders many a time. So this is one that Dr. Miller had created a while back, and this one is a little more aesthetically pleasing than the other one that we looked at. It's got color coded down the side and it's organized a little bit better. This one is just all family consumer sciences teacher resources. So if you're looking to find some parenting resources, then you're right here. It has the standards. Everything is organized for you. And if you scroll down, you even have some lessons that you can click on and get. Okay, so that's one thing LiveBinder does. It keeps the links organized for you. Some of the links will show up a little bit differently, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I think I already have Dr. Miller's LiveBinder saved, but I think that I really like this resource. So what I want to do is I want to save Miss Flake's resource. So what I'm going to do is come over here to options, and I'm going to go to add to shelf. So now that I found something that I like, that shelf that you created a while ago, I created education. All I'm going to do is add this, and it added the binder to my shelf. So now I have 3 different shelves, and on my education shelf, I have one resource that I like. So keep in mind that searching these is definitely a good idea. You can find lots of resources by using this search feature. Okay, one other thing I wanted to—
Can I interrupt you one more time?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry. We had a really good question that if you save a binder and then the person goes back and decides to make it private, will you still have access to it, or will you get some type of an error message? What do you think?
Right. If they change it to private, you'll lose access to it as well.
Oh,
so really you can only organize those that are set to public. Now, if that person decided to set it to private, but they still shared it with you individually, then that's a different setting. So they've given you the link and you can have that. But just to go and grab one online like I'm doing, you know, if they change that setting, it would change it.
Perfect. And Dr. Miller also gave us a reply that they could make it private and then give us a password.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And we'll look at that here in a second too.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay, so we have our educational, I just typed in education, but I wanted to show you this around the side on the edge. They have these organized. So I talked about e-portfolios earlier. So, you know, these are, you can come look at portfolios that other people have done. Maybe you want your kids to do, your students to do a project on portfolios. And so you would set up their tabs for them. And maybe I want these things in here, and it's your job to give me the example. I want your resume, cover letter, and it looks like this is exactly what this teacher has done. Okay, so that's something to be aware of over on that right-hand side, where it has all of these divided in categories for you. Okay. So now that we have found and searched for some binders, we created a shelf so that we could add binders to our shelf. We have our own account. What I want to do now is show you some really good examples that I have come across. Okay, so let's see, I think I have them under FCSE resources. And I wanted to share a few. There's one that I've done, and then there's Dr. Miller's that we looked at. I wanted to show a really, really great one that I have actually seen in action. This is a live binder on digital storytelling. And this is an example of a live binder that you can do for a presentation. So you're not having to use a PowerPoint or a Prezi and worry about having a thumb drive or a zip drive. This would be saved online, and it would be accessible for you anywhere that you were to present this. So Dr. Alexander created this one on digital storytelling, and I saw her present this to some of our undergrad students. And she goes through and she's created all this content, which I'll show you how to set up this media in a little bit. She has an example of a video on here, and then she goes through and talks about what digital storytelling is, and this is something that is a great resource to you as well. She comes and talks about a teaching philosophy, personal stories, and she's looking at a digital story as a story that really talks about your why as an educator. This is a great assignment for students as well. You could have them create a live binder that includes information such as their philosophy. If you're training teachers, maybe a teaching philosophy, but their why. Why do they want to do such and such as a career? And they could come in, and as much as videos are, you know, taking over right now, students love videoing themselves. And like I was saying about my 11-year-old daughter, she knows way more about shooting amazing videos than I do at this point in my life. So this is how they work. She has everything set up that you would need to do the project, and then even a link to WeVideo, okay? And if you get this little face, I'll show you what that means here in a second. Well, actually, I'll just tell you all that means is that WeVideo is just not connecting with LiveBinders. You can still click right here and it'll take you to the link. Sometimes that happens in this one. Okay, so let's go back. Another one that I wanted to show you under my FCSE resources is one on, Dr. Alexander did this one as well. And this is one that is very aesthetically pleasing. So this is something that if you're going to do one that you're going to be sharing with other professionals, you would need to set one up like this. And I say that because this one has, these are lesson plans that are shared, and it's set up where each lesson plan comes, or each little click that you click on, well.
Lindsay, can you
open
that up at the bottom right there? It says open this binder using.
Okay, I was like, this is not what I saw a while ago. Okay, there we go. I was like, it did look good a while ago. Okay, so this one has all the images and things that you would want to get students excited. This is the aesthetically pleasing part I was talking about. So Dr. Alexander created graphics for each landing page, and each tab underneath. So we would know that this unit of lesson plans that I'm getting, which this is a great resource for you as well, it gives that, and then it goes through and actually gives you the lesson plan form. And these lesson plans were compiled by many different teachers. So this gives you a whole lesson on Ellen Swallow Richards, and then of course whatever else you're looking for up here. You have sanitation, domestic science, effects of today, and then of course websites and images that were used right here. So this is an aesthetically pleasing one, and like I said, if you're going to be sharing one, you're going to want to put forth a little bit extra effort to make it look nice like that. Now the last one I want to show you, and then we'll jump into creating your own binder, is, I want to show you one that I created. This is from last year. This is actually when I was the CTE specialist for a school district, and this is one that has an access key, and this is one I created it to have an access key because I only wanted teachers accessing this. But this actually, from an administrative point of view, was great. It is something that I could send out to all students, or not students, all teachers, and then all administrators. And it has all the information in there that they might need. So as a CTE teacher, it has all of the CTE TEKS right there for you, easy access. It had our CTE newsletter where you could easily access that. It gave purchasing instructions. I would get questions all the time. I don't know how to do this. And so what was great is that I could say, oh yeah, that's on the LiveBinder, go and check that. So that's something that you could actually put together a whole LiveBinder of your classroom resources. So you would have a student say, I don't know where to find that. You're like, yes, you do. It's in the LiveBinder. Go back and look. So I think I even included on here for teachers how to book a school bus, what's field trip, student course applications, and notice that it has sub-tabs in some of these. And then I was also able to put our pathway charts in here as well. So this really gave our district CTE information a place to have everything all in one spot. So that was very useful. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and build a binder, or walk you through the steps of making your own binder. Okay, and it's very simple and user friendly. You're just going to click on New Binder. You're going to give your binder a name, give your binder a description. Okay, what is it? Just to kind of remind yourself what's in there. Is it for a class? Is it an assignment? Or is it just resources for you? Category. Most of mine are in the education category, but there's all of these that you could choose from. And public, so like the one we were looking at from the teacher with all the resources, hers was public. Everyone could search for it and find it. Private, which is what I set mine on. Private, and then who I want to share it with, I can share it with and have that access key. So if it's private, then I would type in whatever access key I want, usually something simple that your students would remember or your teachers would remember. Okay, and then you just click Create New Binder. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and look at, this is one that I've started on for you, and we're going to kind of edit this one, but this has the description. This is a resource file that I have one of our classes do. Our Family and Consumer Sciences 2102 class creates a resource file, and we had them creating a resource file, kind of like a hard copy binder, and then we decided that we were going to move that online to a LiveBinder. And one of the things that decided that for us was the situation we're in right now. So I was able to go through and say, hey, it's still the same assignment. We're just going to move it to LiveBinder. And I gave them a quick tutorial on that. So when you are creating a binder, or say you've started on one, okay, this little notch right here with the red pen is where you're going to edit this binder. So I'm going to go ahead and click on edit, and it takes it to a slightly different look, okay? And I have lots of options up here: tab, sub-tab, base tab. I can move my tabs. This is how I'm going to add my content. I can change my settings, colors, name, format, access. There's lots of fun things you can do there. So when you're looking, I've created a resource example. So for my culinary arts classes, there's some things that I want to include. I think the Gallon Man would be a great resource to have, and I want to keep that in one spot. So I added that image. I have an apple a day, and this is just a document that when you click on it, it downloads, and it's an assignment. I added a FCCLA STAR event instructions, because that's something we might do. I added a website, Serve Safe website, and then I added another website that actually linked to it. It was called The Food Project. So these are resources that when I'm thinking, oh, okay, culinary arts, here's some great things for me to look at and get started with. Okay, housing and interior design. I've added a couple of things. Notice the landing page, I have just something that relates to interior design. I added the HGTV website, and then maybe some notes on balance and proportion, okay? Now, I've done those two. Now let's look at a new tab. It is blank just like this. And the way I got this new tab is I just went over here to add a new tab, and see it popped up right here for me. Say, oops, I added too many. Just right click, delete this tab. Or actually don't have to right click, you just click on that red arrow. Okay, so this new tab, I'm gonna start a section that's called careers. I wanna get some resources to help me teach my careers class. So I have that started, and notice this is landing page. I don't have anything right here, but I could actually add some content in this landing page on careers. So when you click on add content, it gives you lots of different examples of things that you can add. You can even link your Dropbox. You could add a whole nother binder. If you have a Google Drive, it would link to that as well. You could add a QR code. I can add text and lots of other things. So what I want to do now is I'm going to leave this landing page blank for now. I'm going to show you, let's look at a sub-tab. So within careers, I want to remind myself to teach the students about, let's see, dressing for an interview, what they need to wear for an interview. So that's my tab. And notice if I had a website, I could just type my website in right here and insert if that's something that I wanted to do. I don't want to include a website right now. I want to add some content. Okay, so I'm going to go to text, and this is a good spot to go to because it actually gives you that really nice layout that was in Dr. Alexander's LiveBinder of where you can add an image and then you can also add text. So I'm going to choose media and text for my layout. And one of the things it does, it actually created it behind me, so it doesn't automatically close this. So you've got to come up here and close this. Now, the first thing that I have is my title. So I'm going to edit my title, and it brings up the whole editing sequence for you. And dressing for an interview. Okay, this is something that maybe I want my students to come on here and look at. So I can change this to whatever I want, like Tahoma, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger since it's my title. Okay, make sure you click right here, save, to save whatever you need to do. And there's lots of other options within edit title. Okay, now I'm going to edit my main text box. This will show it on the side, and then I could have my content on the other side. But this is where I might type all of the things that they need to be aware of when dressing for an interview. Okay, and maybe I want to organize it in bullets, or I could organize it in numbers, you know, the 6 things they need to remember about how to dress for an interview. Okay, you can also change the font and things like that. So I'm going to click save. And then over here, there's really nothing for me to click, but I know that I'm going to add some media right there. So I'm going to, again, come to content. And if I had some images, you can search Flickr for just some stock images if you would want to do that. You could search YouTube for some videos to stick in there. Or what I like to do and what I work with the most is I like to just upload my own images that I've found. So I found these images ahead of time just from either, you know, Google Images or something like that. And then I've saved the images that I wanted to my computer. So what I'll do here is go to choose file. And here's one of the pictures that I found. I could make this picture private if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do, yes, that just asks, because I practiced with this and uploaded it before, it said if I wanted to upload it again, and I do. So now I have a page that has my title, it has the content that I want my students to learn, and then it has all of a great image sharing what you should wear in an interview. Okay, so that's a great way to use that text area with adding the content and keeping it how you want. Maybe it's an introduction and you would write, you know, teacher introduction, you would write your name here, and then you could put your picture in this side here. That's something that you could do if you wanted to. Okay, so what you can do now is, so I have this one, and say I think I want to add another sub tab. Okay, now before I do that, I could come back here. You could also add more tabs, but when I click on it, it wants me to upgrade. Okay, so I have a free LiveBinder account right now, and I'm all about the free account. It works for what I need right now. If you wanted to add more tabs or have an unlimited view of binders, you could sign up for a small fee. But I like free, so that's kind of where mine is set at. But if I wanted to do more tabs under this, then I would have to sign up for that. But I can, you know, do what I want to do without signing up for that paid account. Okay, so other things you could put under careers, maybe a career inventory quiz. So something you want to give your students. Okay, so I'm going to, and I'm just going to get a link real quick for you, and then we will add that. So where's my career quiz that I found? So say I really like this one from the Princeton Review. I'm going to take the link, copy it, and come back over here, paste my career quiz, and then hit insert. And guess what? That site shows up right here embedded into my LiveBinder. So this is a quiz. I could have my students come in, learn about, you know, dressing for an interview. Then you could come to career inventory. Then you'll need to take this quiz. Then I could do another tab that tells them after you've done the quiz, you need to look at the Occupational Outlook Handbook and research some of those careers. So the options are endless, really, what you could do when creating your LiveBinder. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to my binders. I wanted to show you an example of one that I created. The purpose of this unit is to introduce an aspect of career and decision making. The students in this class were to put together a lesson plan. And so what I did is I went in and created the LiveBinder for them and showed them some examples of what they could do and how to organize it. So I gave them, this is the information I needed from them, and then they were to create lesson plans for me. So I wanted the lesson plan, and then I gave them examples that they might include. So this is one that you could set up something like this that really is just an outline for your students. So this is, you know, the digital story we did. I had them put that right here in their career portfolio. So really their major project I was grading at the end was all right here in one spot, and I didn't have to search or have a bajillion emails of them turning in their work to me. So this was something that was very helpful. And they also created an e-portfolio. I had them add their resume, a cover letter, a thank you letter, and references so that they would have that for when they were trying to get a job. So from there, I want to open it up for any questions that y'all might have about LiveBinders.
So we have one that just popped up. How do students share their LiveBinder with you?
Okay, so let's say I want to share this one. All you do is come up here to options. And we clicked on options a while ago when we were actually adding to the shelf, but there are lots of different things you can do. I can copy this binder, I can download it, I can actually search for more binders like that, or I can click right here, share. And this gives me a link to the binder. And this is the access key to this binder. If you have one, that's something you would want to include. You could email it. They could email it to you. What I had my students do is actually just get the link and email me the link, so that all I had to do was click on it. We all had the same passcode when they turned it in. And so I knew that I could just click 4306 and it opened it up.
Okay, can you have, this one isn't in the chat, but this is a question that I want to ask.
Okay.
Can a LiveBinder be collaborative? So in other words, you can have multiple people working on a LiveBinder at one time.
I believe so. Yes. So I'm not quite sure how to do that. I haven't ever done that before. Have you done that before, Dr.
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes. So the LiveBinder that you showed on Ellen Richards,
Okay.
that was collaborative. And those were all of my doctoral students in a course, and many of them were teachers. And so they had sections that they were responsible for providing that information. And Dr. Miller, let's see, when you click on it, Jincy, go back to options.
Okay.
Go up here to options. Yeah. Okay. So or go back to, well, it's not in your account. So go to one in your account,
Okay.
because you couldn't change mine because it's on your shelf, but go to one in your account.
Okay.
So there where it shows options before you clicked on it. So go back one. Now at the bottom where it says options, click on that.
Okay.
And there, let's see, or go to edit. Wait a minute. Where is it, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, I know it can be done. I just can't remember where it is.
I believe it where you say share this LiveBinder.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can add teacher's email address. You can also do that in the actual settings where you can go in and add teacher's emails.
Okay.
It's a sign. It's a sign. There it is, Jincy.
Yeah.
Under a sign.
It's a sign right here in the settings.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we
you
go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I haven't actually used that feature before, but I know you had Dr. Alexander in that.
Yeah.
One that you did
and that's the great thing about LiveBinders is you just kind of play around with the tools, and the more you use it, the more familiar it will become to you. But that assigning piece is really good, because then, and Dr. Miller has done this before, where when she's had portfolios with students, she's actually created the portfolio with what needed to be in there as far as the tabs, then assigned it to the student. And in that case, only she and the student could see it, but then she was able to monitor the student's work versus just leaving it up to the student who was going to put it together and turn it in at the end. And so, Dr. Miller, do you want to talk any about that when you were using these in your high school setting?
Yeah. Yes. I didn't want my students creating a separate LiveBinder account by themselves, because then they'd have to send me, then I'd get of course, I had 120 students, so then I get 120 URL links. So I created a binder that was that particular course, that particular period, and then I went into that binder and created separate binders for each of my students so that they could go in and load their information in. But I made sure that only that student had access to that binder because I shared it with only that one student with their email address, with that particular student's email address. For each binder, that I shared, each had a different student email address to it. So that way nobody else could go into anybody else's binders and do anything in those binders except their own.
And Jinsey, can you show that again? So just go under, and then it's under options, share this LiveBinder, and then go to assign.
So you could enter them.
Right. And so if you notice there, you have a can edit and a can view. So you can share a LiveBinder with just a certain group of people where they can only view it, not make changes, or in the case of the student, it can be edit and they have full editing rights just as you would. That's what I used with my students so that they could upload the materials as we found them, and that's very helpful. But there are certain times that you don't want people to be editing your LiveBinder. You just want them to share it with them. And then Jinsey, go back to the access one real quickly. Yeah, right there under there, share, where it says print public copyable. Pull down on that tab, please. Okay, so you can have private copy disabled, private copyable, public copy disabled, and public copyable. And you're probably scratching your head, what's the difference between those? Okay, so we know the difference between public and private. Public is going to be out there on the LiveBinder site, and you can search for it, find it, use it, put it on your shelf, etc. If it's private, only people who know your LiveBinder URL or that you have shared it with will have access to it. Now, the copyable is something that is very important to know about, and it is really critical because Dr. Miller has actually experienced this before. She was being very generous and had a LiveBinder that was public and copyable, and had spent hours and hours and hours putting this LiveBinder to use and organizing it, and made it available, and it was on technology, different apps for career clusters. And one day she was searching and found one that had a similar title and thought, oh wow, I'd like to see what this one has in it. Maybe it's got new things that I don't have in mind. Discovered that someone had copied it and then changed their title page and presented it as their work. So we always disable the copy component. That's just a rule that I think in education you want to work by. After you've put a lot of time in it, you don't want someone else to come and copy and then present that as their work. So that's a lesson learned, and that's the difference between those four categories. And let's see, a couple of other questions have come up regarding about using this in Google Classroom. So this is on the in the chat. This is a separate application, and it's in right now. I don't know if you're working in Google Chrome or what your browser is, but if you were in Google Chrome, you would just go to livebinders.com and you would open it up like an application. Once you have something finished, will save the URL to whatever slide, and so, or you can save the URL in Google Classroom. So just like you were going to add a website in Google Classroom for an assignment, you would just add the URL for the LiveBinder that you wanted the students to access in an assignment. And then it will open that up, and it usually opens it up in another tab so that they can get back to where they were in Google Classroom. So this is outside of Google Classroom, and it is outside of PowerPoint, but you have the ability to share everything with LiveBinder as long as you have an internet connection. This is an internet-based application, so you're not going to be able to work offline on LiveBinder. So it's important for you to know that.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Okay, I understand. Where is there a classroom icon? That was where Dr.
Oh, well, I think she's talking about when you could add content. If you wanted to connect your Google Drive,
Oh,
you could do that. So say I
Right.
wanted to come over here and add some different content. Let me go to edit first.
Okay, yes. So just like you were adding from your hard drive, you could pull in from Google Drive. Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And you could do that with Dropbox or whatever it is that you use.
Mm-hmm. And so there, you would just add it as a file, just like you would if you were uploading a file from your computer. But in this case, it's coming from Google Drive.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this really quickly and go back to my.
Okay. So now Deborah says no, where you were with options and adding people. I thought the classroom was where you were sharing.
I think she was thinking about in the set where we were a while ago when you said share this binder and it had all those particular.
Oh, okay. Just to go back to that real quickly, whatever binder you are on, the sharing part is at there'll be a ribbon across the top, and you can share any binder. So
Right here, classroom.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. So what is, Jesse, go ahead and click on that. Okay, yes, Deborah says that's what she wants to know. So, did something happen when you clicked on it? Okay, that is the icon for Google Classroom. Good eyes, Deborah. So that is the icon for Google Classroom, and it's possible that Jency doesn't have the Google Classroom open in her browser, but I bet if you had your Google Classroom or you had your app added up in the top here, Jency, where you have your Dropbox app and so forth, if you
Right.
actually added that, then you would be able to add directly to the class in Google Classroom. Deborah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you for seeing that. I have never used that feature either.
Okay, that's a relatively new feature, and just because of the use of Google Classroom. One other thing that we wanted to mention to you is that there is a bookmark tool, and you can locate information on LiveBinders about making a shortcut in your toolbar, just like you have for Dropbox up there, or like you could for Google Classroom. And what's great about the shortcut tool is if you are on a website and you say, oh, wow, this is perfect for X, Y, and Z class, I need to save this, then all you need to do is click on the LiveBinder tool in your toolbar, and then it will actually open and ask you, where would you like to save this website? And you can save it in the binder that you're interested in, and even put it in a particular tab or sub-tab at that time. And I have that on my browser at work. I haven't done it on this computer at home. And boy, is it a time saver. So there is that option.
Okay.
So Jency, and maybe I've answered this question. I got distracted with the chat. I'm so sorry. So are these LiveBinders being stored up in the LiveBinder website itself? So it's like in a cloud type storage, so it's stable, or is that what's happening?
Stable, and it's under your username and password. So I haven't ever known it to crash or anything.
Okay, perfect.
You log in to get to your binders.
You may have noticed in the chat, Mara did post something about it being compliant. Mara, do you want to mention anything with that?
Just that I did a quick search while I should have been paying more attention to this presentation, but I found it interesting that they are compliant. Their iPad app is not as compliant as they would like it to be, but they are still working on that, and to bring that up to that W3C compliance. So it's navigable and ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so any other questions? Tracy Craig has asked about getting on our email list for webinars. So go ahead and send us your email. You can just put that privately to me and Karen Alexander, and we'll get that then in the chat conversation. Make sure we've added you since you joined with a different link. Jency, you want to share a little bit more about some of the additional resources that you have, and then we have another question for you at the end, and I'll post the tiny URL for that.
And I have that up here as well.
Okay.
There's just a few additional resources, and there's LiveBinder tutorials. So everything that we have gone over today, if you click on this link, or you just click on LiveBinders and search tutorials, they have it set up how to build it, and then even more information than I know. There's probably some pretty intricate things you can do with the LiveBinder, and then of course our Curriculum Center, Digital Promise, and then Ditch That Textbook. So things to help as far as e-learning resources. And this is the tiny URL Dr. Alexander was mentioning. We would like for you to answer these 2 questions. And I would just like to say thank you for listening, and I hope you learned a little something tonight about LiveBinders. I appreciate your time.